Let's fucking go, guys. The fucking charts are mooning. I got the Captain RG3 in the green room. Axis is pumping. Oh, man, what a good time to be alive. Happy to have you all here tonight. As you can see, the wonderful Candace got together and put up this awesome new backdrop for me. Got my hex.com cruise and the new AxisAlive canvas. Candace's canvas. So huge shout out to her for putting together the awesome setup behind me. Welcome in, everybody. I got a really special guest tonight. He's an OG Hexican, founder of Discourse Syndicate. Started it all, you know, him and the boys back in the early days of Hex when nobody knew what the hell was what when it came to crypto at all, really. Let's be honest. DeFi started when Hex launched on Ethereum, and then it started the biggest crypto bull market we've seen yet. So with any luck, you know, maybe you know, we'll talk a little bit tonight about some Bitcoin whale moves that are going on. I think you know, RG had texted me a week or so ago, and he said, "Hey, you know, wake up, look at this." He had been keeping his eye on the chain, and we've been seeing some really big, like we're talking $100 million plus moves on chain of Bitcoin going between wallets. And now we're actually starting to see similar moves on Hex, where there's like hundreds of millions of Hex being bought up and absorbed on the lows on the Ethereum side. And, you know, the Pulse side's pumping up pretty nicely as well at the same time. So we're starting to see this like bullish energy come back into the market. And to cap it all off, XRP just got the SEC just backed down and canceled their lawsuit against Ripple on some of these charges. So now the XRP chart's pumping. I got a 50x degen play going, currently up 27% in the background. So, you know, shout out to the boys over at Ripple. They've been waiting a long time for this. So, all right, let's go. Bringing on the Captain RG3. What's up, my dude?
Yo, what's up, dude? What's up?
So, where are you right now? What's going on? I don't see the regular studio.
No, man, I'm hanging out in Dallas, Texas, getting ready for CZ's party on the Hex tour. So it's a meetup. It's a PulseChain tour. It's a PulseChain tour meetup here in Dallas. CZ's throwing the party. Gosh, you know, the whole crew's going to be there. Everybody from around this area. We've got people coming in from out of town. It's going to be quite a shindig.
Yeah, I mean, how's it been going with the PulseChain tour? I know we got to meet up in Chicago, and I got to do a presentation on LP, and it was
which was awesome, by the way.
It was an amazing fucking experience. Like I was dreading going into it because there's always like a little bit of nerves when you're going up there to talk, you know, live in front of a huge group of people. And but you know, I got up there and I gave them what I had, and it was very well received. I know that content can be a little bit much, you know, when you're trying to cram that into like a hour and a half, 2-hour session. But hey, guess what? That's why there's always more online here, you know, my public stuff and my private stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, how's it been going with the tour?
It's been going great. And what you said just kind of made me reflect back on this whole year. And, you know, we're getting ready to meet and talk with, you know, others about what next year is going to look like, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And the success that we got from the tour this season was leaps and bounds. I mean, we realized that bringing content in like yours and the other Hexicans that have brought content to the events, you know, around the country, been very valuable because, you know, we'll all talk about it, I'm sure, but condensing it down to easy to bite chunks, so that the new person can get it, the novice will be more interested in getting deeper, and, you know, the expert will feel like they're participating, learning themselves too. And that's what the content should provide. So what you did was excellent. You woke people up in that room to what LP was about, you know, and you know, not everybody knows or understands it. And, you know, you were very, the way you talked to them about it was, you know, being cautious and understanding it before you get involved, and understanding the risks, understanding the rewards. And, you know, that's what people need to hear so they can go out and, you know, like get into a deeper form of understanding by like jumping into your course, you know, and really understanding how to do it. And because there's a lot of things that we can all be doing to support the network. And that's basically what it is okay. So are you in crypto to earn to hold your crypto and let the value go up and play the big long game, or are you in it to support the network, institute growth, be part of the revolution that is DeFi, and that's what we're teaching everybody and giving them little chunks of to understand. So that's what it's all about. Is people getting into the deeper understanding of what it is we're all doing here.
Yeah, I mean, and like to your point, like there's so much going on in terms of we have to do a good job of educating people now while the prices are down, so they're prepared for what all this means, especially if you're a normie coming in from the outside, and there's a lot of levels to it. And if you remember back to my presentation back in Chicago, the interesting thing about that was I didn't start with like LP as like a basis, right? I started with the idea that one second, he's coming back. It's all good. So, and then I started, if you remember going back to my presentation in Chicago, how my basis of my thesis is always, you need to have a strong core portfolio. Like you need to have a HEX staking ladder or some core position in one of a few assets, right? It's either going to be Bitcoin or Ethereum if you're the old school crypto guy, or you're going to convert over to something better and you're going to get into like the PulseChain and HEX side of things. Not that you look at a balanced portfolio. I'm sure a lot of like OGs that go back to 2013, maybe the 2017 cycle, they'll always have a portion of their portfolio that is this core, which is like some Bitcoin, some ETH, some PulseChain, and some HEX would be like a good unit bias, like maybe heavy more in ETH or like BTC if they're thinking that way. But as things evolve, I think one thing I want to impress on people is that cryptocurrencies is an ever evolving technology, and you don't want to get left behind in terms of like, don't be afraid to shift portions of your economic energy into some of the more advanced stuff, or like move it into some of the newer things that are actually going through their second cycle and they've already kind of proven themselves. That's where this HEX contract finds itself now, is it's in this sweet spot where it's already proved itself. And now we're just coming out of a bear market. And so like for you not to allocate, if like, let's say you're an Ethereum whale or just a large player in Bitcoin, for you not to allocate a percentage of your bag into this stuff at the lows is kind of foolish, because it's not going to look at anyone who makes a poll on Twitter talks about HEX, the thing blows up, man. It's like, which one's the best community?
I want to address that because so real OG Hexicans, or real people who understand HEX, know what it is. It's better Bitcoin. That's what HEX is. It's finally better Bitcoin, meaning that we finally have DeFi. We finally have crypto for real. Bitcoin was just an experiment. Bitcoin was just a proof of concept. That's all it was. It'll still be around. It'll always be around. It'll always be the blue chip. It'll always be, the gold standard or whatever. But it doesn't have value like HEX has value. HEX gives us a seat at the table in DeFi, the first seat at the table in DeFi. So guess what? HEX is better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin did 6 million X with a bunch of plebs getting into crypto. That's what it was for like 7-8 years before the institutional money started coming in. And that was 2017 bull run was the institutional money finally for the first time. And we've seen them come in twice now. And they're getting ready to dump hard coming in. What's going to be the value statement of crypto? HEX, DeFi. Everybody's going to want to get a hold of that. So I understand so Richard is extremely smart. Richard understands.
Oh my God, concepts. He's so far ahead of everybody. It's like, ridiculous. I didn't want to admit that.
I didn't want to either until he was always right. And he was always right.
Richard, you're fucking right again.
He's always right. And the whole thing, Richard Hart was right, was like, we've seen it too many times. I don't question it anymore. But what I do is I go, okay, this doesn't sound right, but why is it right? And let me explain something. Richard has said many times, why would you diversify? Diversification is stupid. Get into one crypto and hold it, and you're going to go to the moon with it.
100%.
Okay. That goes against all of my understanding of investments, all of my Warren Buffett learnings about, Berkshire Hathaway and freaking Charlie Munger, and all of these guys teach long-term, hold, blue chips, steady wins the race, slow wins the race, all that stuff. It goes completely against that. So my first thought is, well, Richard, this is one thing that you're fucking wrong about, you know? But then I think, wait a second. This guy's always right, and I'm going to doubt him again. And why is he saying this, and what does it mean? It's about this market. Because Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett are wrong about this market. They don't understand it. It's they missed the internet generation because they didn't understand it. Even though they had good sound concepts, they didn't understand the internet generation.
Great point. They were fucking 12 years late to Apple.
They were 12 years late to that technology. So even though they had good, solid technique and strategies and tactics, they missed the markets, and they've missed this too. They've missed crypto, and just about everybody has.
But here's what's crazy, dude. RG crypto is missing RH ecosystem.
Yes, that's what it was missing. and now that he's brought HEX to crypto, he's changed the whole game, and they just don't know it yet. Crypto just hasn't caught up with us yet.
100%.
We've won. Richard won. Richard did the thing that everybody couldn't do, is with integrity, do the right thing and make a crypto that was good for people, not good for them or their company or what they were trying to do. He finally put something out that was going to be good for all of us. He followed Satoshi's vision. He really brought the tenets of crypto to fruition by putting out HEX. So why would we not ape into HEX? Why would we not be all in on HEX? And yeah, okay, it's nice that we have a smart contract L1 product too. Great. We have Pulse. That we have a decentralized exchange that is really decentralized. Great. Okay, those are the things maybe to diversify into a little bit after you've done what you can do with HEX, because HEX is going to be the GOAT. I'm sorry. Everybody is going to be making big mistakes talking about PulseChain, PulseX, and Inc. and all this other stuff and liquidity providing. Yes, those things are going to be great. They're going to be a great way to diversify into the system. But why would you not put your money on the blue chip that's going to do better than Bitcoin? When we're talking about moving look at Bitcoin's market cap over 12 years with the plebs coming in with $1 trillion market cap. That's it. They've only got $1 trillion market cap that's ever come into this thing. So now what are we going to do? 6, 10, 15 trillion is what they're saying. This next bull market with institutional money. Why would you not bet on the horse that's better than Bitcoin?
So this is a perfect spot for me to step in and say, I don't know if you remember, but you called me I want to say 7 months ago. And you asked me a question, and the question was simple. It was like, what's going on with the macro, and where do you see the market cap of all crypto going? And I think we did some numbers in the background, and we came up with 8 to 10 trillion.
Yeah. That's
kind of what we came up with, which was basically a 2 to 3x off of what we got as a peak last cycle. And, in the event that does occur, right, how much of that flows into RH stuff and how much needs to flow in to kind of hit some of these price targets that we've talked about on HEX and PulseChain. And it's like fractions because of the liquidity setup.
Yep.
The guys that get in early get paid by the guys that come in second, and then they get to buy that dip back with the money that the second guy's brought in. And then it creates this washing of hands back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the most glorious, huge, beautiful, 2017, parabola on these decentralized networks, trading on chain, and it'll all be verifiable. I think you made a comment earlier, there's guys that are scooping up 300 million EHex on that side of the chain. And now they're sending the price chart up 50% overnight. It really begs the question of how high can this stuff really go, and how post-traumatic stressed are we over the bear? Just the same money flowing back in that was pulled out during the downturn coming back in is going to take us back to that 5 to 10 cent region.
Easy. I mean, let's do the math real quick. I mean, we used to have a tool out there that you could punch in the numbers of based on how much liquidity was in there, how much it would take to shoot the price up to a certain point. I mean, how much was that buy today on EHex side? Do you know what it was in USD?
So I'm gonna pull up some charts here.
Let's do this real quick, because this is bullish math right here. This is really bullish.
So here's some fucking alpha for everybody. This is the HEX chart versus ETH flipped upside down. Look at, so today the amount of volume that came in was about 630K.
600.
And it pushed the price up 10%. Do you know how many billions of dollars we traded in 2021 and 2022? Between October to October, we traded over $6 billion of volume. Well, we got a $600,000 candle today, and it moved the price 12%. So in the past 3 days, we've traded $2.8 million, and it's moved the price 38%. That means that HEX on Ethereum gained 38% on Ethereum. Isn't that amazing?
38% on a $500,000 move.
On $2 million of volume, but that was up and down. So maybe half of that, maybe let's say 1.2 million in, 1.2 million, or maybe like a little less out, right? So it's the net is net buy pressure. So let me flip this back around for you so you can see it like make more sense. Yeah. So look at this. This probably makes more sense to you.
Yep.
That is bullish as all Sam hell. That's 4-hour chart. This is an ascending triangle breaking out. Look, we're coming into resistance here. This,
on what again? On what again?
This is this is HEX on Ethereum.
EHex?
Ethereum.
Oh, EHex. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, look, if this if this resistance, if this breaks, bro, this is the first level. That's about 150%. And that can happen in days.
And that's like only days. A few $1 million.
Exactly. Well, because the $2 million or whatever that came in and out over the last few days, 55%. Now, what happens if the next 5 million comes in? I mean, you're talking like anywhere from 60%, and you might. Here's the
$5 million is nothing.
And here's the catch, dude. And this is gonna blow you away. I mean, I know. We all know that RG3 doesn't really care for the charts, but you got to respect the charts because they fucking show you what's going to happen.
They show you what's happening is what they show you.
All right. So
that's human emotions right there is what you're seeing. You're seeing emotions. You're seeing it play out. You're just charting it. That's all. You're charting the numbers of human emotions.
Yep. Let me, 1 second. Let me pull up. I'm just going to get I had it posted it in my private group. I'm just going to pull that up here rather than hit minus button 100 million times on this.
The Fibonacci and the golden ratio and all that. They just proof human sentiment.
All right. So check this shit out. Let's see. What is the, so this is kind of to your point about how much money does it take to move this stuff, right? And it's not much. And why is it not much? Well, because of the way the liquidity is set up. So this pink line here is the price line. So if I go back to I had the TVL up. See the pink line here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a little bit of more liquidity in front of us. So that means a big buyer can step in and absorb all this HEX. But once you get to 220,000 HEX per ETH. Keep in mind we're at 360,000 HEX per ETH. That's 100,000 HEX difference. And so somebody can come in and absorb all this HEX up for like not much. I mean, this is not even 1 ETH per bar. So you're talking like if you brought in 50 or 100 ETH, you can absorb all this HEX. And then you get down to this gap here where there's no liquidity. This fucking can shoot. And that's why I have this. This is
it skyrockets at that point.
This is a 10x gap. 10x gap, guys, between the end of the liquidity and where the other resting liquidity is.
But the amount of USD that it takes to move through that gap is extremely low.
Very low. So this is how it works, is like it takes more ammo to push through here, less ammo to push through here, less ammo to push through here. When you get down to here, it's like air.
Oof.
Which is why I have this 10x gap. It's like if you get to the edge here, it can just, and so when I'll bring back up now the chart. So you see this push up that I'm seeing coming. Well, that's why. So
That's why. And it's funny, bro, because we have when do we start looking at these charts? When do we start looking at the at the order books? When do we start doing that? When the bull market's in. We haven't looked at any of those charts for months and months and months. Now you're bringing them up and talking about this concept to people, because
I want people to be aware of what's going to happen, and if they don't take advantage of the opportunity in front of them, you will miss an easy 10x. It's like, it's my job to help you guys understand this stuff, right? That's why I've been doing this for 3 years for free online in public spaces and going to events, is because I do believe in this, and I can sell something I believe in. I don't feel bad about helping people build wealth. That makes me feel good when I go to sleep at night.
Yep. And in my opinion, the bottom's been in, and with the moves we're seeing out there in Bitcoin and Ethereum, with the moves we're seeing with HEX now, the size of the moves, the consolidation is over. The bear market is over. Now, I'm not saying that we can't see another fake out, but I don't think we're going to pass below these levels that we're at. I think the bottom is in. We could see a pump and a crash, but it's coming right back after that. I mean, because the money's moving, the money's coming in. And the thing to warn everybody about right now is, like he said, it starts exponentially growing fast because of those low liquidity
gaps. Yep. Because there's a mismatch in what the market agrees the fair price is.
Yep.
So half the market is saying it's fairly priced down here, and half the market says it's fairly priced up here. But this is a 10x difference in price. So once once these guys absorb the supply, they're saying no, it's fucking fair over here, where it's 28,000 hex per ETH, not 220,000 hex per ETH.
Yep. And then once that gap gets leaped like that, we start to see the other side of the order book start to chicken out too.
100%.
Boom, it starts to drop. We start to see that drop. And then that's when the price really starts moving. It moves away from you. And it just,
dude, we've seen it before, haven't we? When did we see it before? Godwill. Fucking Godwill. He came in here before and he just sent it.
It was game over. Like you were the famous video of the guy saying, "Why did I sell my HEX?" I mean, that was one of those moves where he just couldn't get back in. He couldn't get back in.
This reminds me a lot. This candle that's printing right here reminds me very much of these times down here. You know, or you could come back to here. Either way, this is This is the big payday low. So here's your Godwill peak. Here's your support. Here's your support before big payday, support after big payday. This is the legacy trend line that we consolidated on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 9th week consolidating on that level, and boom, we're exploding off that legacy trend line. And so just, be prepared, guys. Like, EHex isn't playing around right here. And with any luck, this resistance will break, and we'll be off to the races. And this gap's going to get filled, right? The market will have to come on sides. So,
and all the clowns that tried to FUD EHex, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. And people that listen to them are going to have to pay for it too.
The same people are holding both stacks of both, man. So it's like, once the guys that was doing this, right? This is the EHex PHex ratio. Once these guys are all out of their EHex and they've moved this chart all the way up here to 2 to 1, there's 2 to 1 here. And what are they going to do? What are they going to sell to keep it back up here? They're going to be out of EHex, and because they gave it away at 0.3 cents, it's going to be even easier for us to rematch, get closer to parity. And parity's down here 1 to 1. And I'm not saying we have shit. EHex can trail PHex for the rest of the cycle at 50% less, and I don't give a shit.
That's fine. It's fine. Let it move with it at 50% less.
Even if it stayed range bound in here, okay, like, I don't care. PHex goes to $1, EHex goes to 50 cents. A lot of us are happy with a move from 0.3 cents to 50. Dude, from 0.3 cents to 50 cents is 150x.
Yep.
So it's like, we're looking at 10 to 20 cents and being happy with that. The guys that accumulated, the guy accumulated 300 million down here. Y'all are off your rocker if you don't get what's going on here. HEX is the GOAT on both chains. and you get the added benefit of having it on Ethereum, which is the OG standard of ERC20 contracts and all of the value. And then you get it on the brand new, faster, cheaper chain too, where same contract works the same, cheaper to transact. You're going to get the adoption over there. Like you get the hedge.
What do you think of this concept? What do you think of this concept? So you and I are watching these moves into the Bitcoin and Ethereum world where we're seeing, I mean, today, 1.2 billion in one trade came in, and then there was like 100 million. I think it was the same trader was moving it. It obviously it wasn't an exchange trade. It wasn't a market trade, so we didn't see the prices move. But it was a wallet exchange from an exchange to a wallet. So nobody just moves 1.2 billion Bitcoin just to move 1.2 billion Bitcoin. They're positioning and posturing, or it was an OTC move. So we're going to see that come in, and let's reminisce back to 17 when money was coming into the market. We'd see it flow into Bitcoin, and then where did it flow? Boom! It went right into Ethereum, and Ethereum and Bitcoin were pumping like this. So guess what? What's going to happen when that money first flows? Now it's going to take it a while to siphon into the Richard Heart ecosystem, especially into PulseChain, because we're twice removed. First, there's Bitcoin. It comes into Bitcoin. It comes into Ethereum. It comes into the ERC20 world. Comes into HEX, and then it comes into PulseChain. Maybe people who are in the know, people who want to try and get it on PulseChain. I think that EHex is going to overperform in the beginning of the bull market because of that. Because of where the money, the real money, is going to be.
Where the juice is worth the squeeze, man. Where all the money is really going to squeeze out, overflow out of the Bitcoin and Ethereum pot. Where is it going to go? Wherever the money can be made the fastest. Well, where's that? The low liquidity of a proven coin, blue chip like HEX on Ethereum. Duh.
It's always made sense. It still makes sense, and it's more than likely going to be the play. Now I know that we've got whales, and I know that there's sidelined money that are going to be coming into PulseChain network. There's just going to be big whales coming in. We're going to see them move. It will happen. They did it when HEX came out. Why would they not do it with a better product? And
yeah, I mean, I got some examples that you probably like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Like this one here, Bitcoin Cash, and we remember the big fight between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin when that forked. Well, there was 3 different occasions here where Bitcoin Cash overperformed Bitcoin from the fork date. So I mean, like, okay, if that's any indicator. Yeah, we all know Bitcoin Cash is trading at a fraction of a Bitcoin, but in terms of percentage returns from the fork, there was 3 instances where you could trade off your Bitcoin Cash for more Bitcoin. 1, 2, 3. I got more. So the Ethereum Classic fork, remember when the DAO hack happened?
Yep.
Well, ETH Classic in green outperformed Ethereum for the whole fucking cycle. 16,000% in 386 days. It wasn't until the final 40 days that the regular Ethereum caught up and ended up overperforming by about 4,000%.
Well, the regular Ethereum was actually the forked Ethereum, right?
Correct. The white line is Ethereum, the one that we know that was proof of work Ethereum. That was the forked away version. Correct.
Yeah.
But it ended up becoming what was the one that went to 5K last cycle.
Yeah.
And this is the second cycle, right? So this is after. So this was the first cycle. This was the second cycle. The white line is the Ethereum you know from proof of work, and the green one was ETH Classic on its second cycle, and it underperformed for 313 days.
Hello.
Which gave you a huge opportunity to accumulate, and then right at the end of the cycle, boom.
Yep.
4,337% returns in 420 days. Most of the gains came in a month, 1 month. So keep that in mind if you guys are thinking like one way or the other. Don't marry your bags, and don't. HEX is obviously the GOAT, but you don't have to pick sides.
Yeah, and if you're going to diversify into those two.
Bro, if people are asking me right now, I'm saying buy some Pulse, buy some HEX, and buy some PHex. Those are like the GOAT, like the core units that you're going to want.
Yep. And then when your investment strategy gets to where you want it, I mean, I understand what Richard is saying. It's like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like PulseChain it's only going to have its first year one time. PulseX is only going to have its first cycle one time. This is a time to capitalize on that. I get it. HEX has already proven itself. HEX is the blue chip. HEX went to number 3 on market cap on the whole freaking crypto on the whole crypto chart. So we know what it's going to do. We know that it's going to outperform Bitcoin eventually. One day we're going to see it, flip Bitcoin. Ethereum's going to flip Bitcoin. They're going to flip them. So I get what Richard says. Get into the ones that are going to do the best, and then go ahead and think about what you can do with your money. Buying properties, buying, vehicles, antiques, whatever it is. And
Corey, Geary, and Dane talk about that a lot, where they're always their quote is, "Crypto is a tool for wealth creation, and real estate it's a vehicle for wealth preservation."
Yes. Yes.
But don't cut but here's the thing, and I think this is what you're trying to say, is don't cut your winnings short. When we're looking at a bull run that can go from now until 2026, even if it's extended, right? Because there could be some tomfoolery that these big funds like to pull on us in the near term, where they push it up to Bitcoin up to 80K, and then they sell it back down to 30K, and then they make retail buy it back, and then they take a loss, and then they buy it all back at 30K, right? They sell it down, and then they buy it back at 30K, right? And it's a 1-2 punch, right? It reminds me so much of the early Bitcoin trade, and I'm excited because I think that this is going to be I think this might be the biggest crypto bull run that we've seen. I know a lot of people like Randy Hilarski, people that have been in the game for like 2 or 3 cycles, they're all kind of feeling the same way. Like the last cycle got cut short because, if you remember, BitMEX was playing with everyone's portfolios. Like they were trading against their people. Then the FTX did the same thing, trading against their people, and then they'd over leverage and manipulate the market straight up in a straight line. And there was no time to build structure in the chart and give funds a time to allocate. You need like 6 to 9 months for a fund to come in and allocate at a price level, and then rise at 10 grand and do the same thing and create these long, extended parabolic price structures.
Well, all these clowns were commingling leverage. They were sending leverage around, and that's how, when they were playing musical chairs with the leverage, that's when CZ finally said, "Oh, I'm going to turn the music off. I'm going to sit down and turn the music off," and that's when he screwed FTX. Not a lot of people realize that, and the regulators understand it now, because now they're going after CZ, going, "Hey, wait a second, this guy is the one who freaking crashed this whole thing. He was the one who had all the money in his hand, and then he was the one that sat down and turned the music off," is what happened, because they were all playing the same game. And we saw it with Three Arrows Capital went out first, and they were the first ones that were over leveraged, that got themselves in trouble. And then boom, 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 the dominoes went down all the way to FTX. So, I mean, I think that had to be cleared, and I think that they understood, and that's probably why they pulled out early. That's why we had such an early pullout, because the institutional money said, "Wait a minute, these guys are all about to collapse. We got to get the hell out of this game. Let them screw up." They already were. All the politicians were talking to them, because politicians were in the bag. So they were all talking amongst each other. They all knew what was going on. This wasn't some freaking thing that just happened. That market got the fucking rug pulled out of it because of everybody knew what was going on. And then look what happened. As soon as we crashed, boom, boom, boom. Everybody's going to jail. Everybody's getting in trouble. Everybody's cleared out. Let's get rid of the centralized exchanges. Boom, boom. SEC comes in and starts, stirring up the pot and sweeping the floors. And that's what we got today. I think you're right. I think that this is going to be, okay, everything's clear. We're going to have a certain few exchanges that we all trust, or we all think that we can work out of. I mean, freaking, I think JP Morgan is putting their own decks together. I mean, they're getting it. They know what they're got to do to get into the game. And when they bring it, I think you're right. I think that it's going to be a different bull market than we've ever seen before, because it's kind of, the path is cleared for them.
Yep. And so bring a couple thoughts. Question here too. Joe says, I'm just saying, be careful. The SEC could delay things, right? And I say no, because look at what happened with Ripple today. By the way, my leverage long is up 128%, 50x long. That money's coming into HEX. So check this out. Like, when it comes to the SEC thing, look, Ripple just got a free, like a fair bet, right? They basically, SEC backed down, but this is not like the first loss. This is going to continue to play out poorly for the regulators. because they're trying to stifle innovation and put regulatory overreach on crypto, and it's killing innovation. And a lot of these companies are moving away. Good example would be Coinbase International. That's where the new leverage platform they opened up, and you can't, and for bigger funds and stuff, you can't do that in the States yet because of all the bullshit. And the more of these suits that get back down, like, it's just more credence to look. In the case of Richard Hart, he launched the most fair and honest and transparent and crypto that failed the Howey test, and it's did everything right. People that wait for the public announcement that he's in the clear, the price is already going to be up thousands of percent. You're going to be way late, man. Like, because the Hexicans don't give a shit. We already know that this thing was. Just do a little research. We're green, man. It's fine. Like, you're already missing the lows as we speak. Like, I could bring up the chart on Pulse. Like, you're missing the lows, man. Like, it's happening right before. I'm not just excited because the price is going up. I'm excited because this is a shift in cryptocurrency. We're moving toward an adoption of real DeFi. And like, I'm excited because me and RG and others that are listening to the stream, we're well positioned because we are following the footsteps of the fucking GOAT, Richard Hart, who figured this shit out years ago and had the resources to put it to work. Yeah.
And as far as the commenter just mentioned about the SEC, that stuff this whole thing is baked in now. That it's happening. They wouldn't have put all of those applications out if they did. All of these entities applied for their ETF applications on like the same week. They all went boom, 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 boom. So somebody got information. Somebody knew what was going on in the background, and here we are. Those guys don't make those moves for no reason. Those moves were all made for a reason. So they're coming in. We're seeing the money move already. It's been quiet. It's been quiet for a whole year. We haven't seen moves like this in a year. And the last 3 weeks have been boom, boom, boom every day. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin moving between wallets, OTC trades, in and out of exchanges. And then today, $1 billion, $1.2 billion in one move. Nobody risks moving that much Bitcoin for no reason. There is a reason for that happening. So it's here, it's coming. And the way it moves away from you, it just happens fast, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all out there, guys. Like, you got fucking Larry Fink from BlackRock coming on and saying that cryptocurrency is a flight to quality. Sometimes it takes something so stupid as a boomer saying crypto is a flight to quality for the world to get it.
Here's a great bottom signal. Tone Vase, himself, said, I'm bullet. Now, one of the Hexicans memed the shit out of him. It was beautiful. It was absolutely freaking poetic. So whatever Hexican did that, my hat's off to you. Great job. But he says he's looking at the chart, the fake news that came out and pumped Bitcoin the other day. This clown literally gets up there pointing at the chart and saying, yeah, I'm still bullish on the fake news. The fake news has me bullish still. And I was like, is he really saying that, like, fucking live on the air, talking to his people, showing them a chart and telling them that he's bullish on fake news? Bottom signal, guys. Bottom signal.
Yeah, so to me, it's like a hoodwink play, right? Like let's say your big fund comes in, they hire a publication firm to just put out this piece about a possible ETF coming out. Then they pump the price of Bitcoin. They clear the order books. They wreck all the shorts. Now you got clear skies above you to 30K.
Yeah,
that's
how many shorts got wrecked?
Over $100 million.
$100 million cleared. Whoop, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. And so, like, as soon as you get that clearing of the order books and all that overhead pressure is gone, now they could just get to buy up all the coins back down when it sells back down to 26 to 28K over the next week and then send it.
That's what they did.
And so it was like the ultimate fake news, really, because then guess what? This leads into which then comes the real news hit piece, and they're already trading at above 30K, and then they've already won. They got all the coins back at 28K.
Yeah.
So,
and here's something to think about too. So we see these tactics, we see these things playing out. I mean, we saw Bitcoin Cash. We saw Coinbase turn off the trading on when Bitcoin came. All this manipulation that we've seen for all these years, and we think, oh well, this time no, that was really just an accident, or that was just somebody in the back room that did that. No, you just said it. They just cleared the order books. They're getting ready. They're buying. They're positioning. They're getting themselves in, and they're trying to get as much of this as they can. So, with all the manipulation that is freaking going on, what makes you think that they don't know who we are and what we're doing and what we're about? Because they can't manipulate this system. They literally have to come in and buy just like anybody else. And the only people that they can OTC with is if they go to some OG and try and get some of their bags off of them to try and, get into the system that way. And I don't think that's happening. I don't think that there's anybody out there trying to get a hold of Hexicans to try and get. I think they're afraid of the system. I think that they're afraid of DeFi, and that they're trying to pump their little thing as much as they can and get as much out of it as they can before they realize what's over here. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be two parallel systems, if there's going to be a centralized system and then there's going to be a DeFi system, or one of them is going to fail and the other is going to take over. I'm not sure, but I know that they can't manipulate our system. I know that they can't come in. You can move it, of course. You can come in and whales can move it and do what they want with it, but we'll see it all on chain. We'll be able to watch it and monitor it, and they won't be able to pull the shenanigans that they've been pulling, out in the centralized exchange world. Nobody reports on news on us. We don't get news. You just get a bunch of Hexicans out there talking out the side of their necks.
It's going to be kind of weird, like how this is all going to like prop up organically, and then we're just going to be the Hexicans that survived are just going to be looking around like it's going to look like a scorched earth, and there's just a few Hexicans looking around and they're sitting at the top of the mountain, and they're like, "Who's with me?" And you're going to find out who is actually real because we'll be there.
Yeah.
Coming to ask us for interviews and shit. Like, we'll be filling up stadiums. Like, I mean, maybe not me, but RG will be.
We're going to be filling. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to be me, but we will be filling up stadiums because this is what people are going to want to learn about. This is what people are going to want to hear. What people want to get behind this, because we're punching the banks in the nose. We're punching the governments in the nose. We're punching, any centralized finance agencies in the nose. This is giving people control of their money from soup to nuts, from the coin that they move, from the yield that they earn, from the liquidity they provide, from the entities that are built on top of it, from the whole Web3 space, from content creators having ownership of their own content. It's all here. This is the fucking revolution that we've been waiting for. This is it. This is DeFi. It's here. We got it all, and they know it.
And just to key on why that is and for those, many of us know this, but everyone needs to be reminded, it's because we fixed the inflation model.
Yep.
With HEX, so that OGs can get giga rich, and after a brutal bear market, they just lose their if they misappropriated their HEX stack, they just can't get it back. So eventually there's like this culling that happens, like a natural forest fire, and then new growth comes up, and that's like the next wave of entrepreneurs that gets in on those lows, and we're there now. So it's because of this fixed inflation rate at 3.69%, but really it's less because it's all pushed out into the future. Mm-hmm. Right? We had to deal with the hyperinflation of the first 3 years of HEX, where all of this HEX came out in creation, and via like due to the fact that the OA holds a majority, and then you had the sacrifice phases, which pulled hundreds of millions, billions off the market. Like those were good efforts to pull more HEX of the market supply off the market early, but there was still just so much from that hyperinflationary period. After this is all resettled back down and redistributed, and there's like floors created, you're going to get that new growth, and a whole new forest is going to show up where there once was just a few trees. So,
yeah.
And the other thing too is I got a bunch of questions here in the chat, but I'll bring those up towards the end, guys. So just keep on putting them in there. I'm starring them as we go along. Yeah,
and that's
talking about the forest.
It's organic again. So the Bitcoin world is manipulated hard. We've been organic from the beginning. That's the thing about HEX that people don't really understand. It's one thing that Bitcoin came up and did its thing and did it for 10, 12 years. It's another thing that HEX has come up and done its thing and has done it organically. meaning every trade was legit. There was no wash trading. There was no centralized ownership. The OA isn't what the other centralized ownerships are. There, look at every coin. Every coin has centralized ownership. There's a bunch of wallets that own a bunch of it, and they are constantly, some of them openly will dump on you. You know, Vitalik's openly dumped. Fucking Charlie Lee openly dumped. Freaking XRP every month openly dumps. So we've never had anything like that. This is the dumping that's going to happen is just like you said, it's going to be organic. It's going to be OGs that are losing their bags, dumping some to get out. And it's just going to recycle into what's supposed to naturally happen is it's supposed to spread out through the community. It's supposed to spread out through wallets. It's supposed to, you know, the older, bigger bags are supposed to be washed out slowly, not keep control all the time and hold this over the top of the hold dominance over the top of the rest of the wallets. Like in some of these other coins, that's what they do, you know, and you don't see that here.
And the longer that this goes on, the guys that make it a second cycle in HEX, like they're never gonna have to sell all their HEX to get to their lifestyle. Like they'll just be able to print ad infinitum and just sell portions off the way it was intended, right? So like the guys that are nuking their bags are making a grave mistake.
Yeah, it's already I'm already seeing it do that. You know, this is like, you know, through 3 years of watching my income ladder roll and move. I mean, it's just like,
here's a question:
how many of your
stakes are over 50% now? How many of your HEX bags are over 50%? So you've doubled up. You have more in interest than you do in principal. How many? A lot of them, probably.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like
because of the big payday, though. The big payday.
But even take that away, and some of those stakes are getting close now, where they're pushing 50-60%.
Yeah, yeah, and they're growing faster and faster and faster as time is going on, because the math of the T-share given payouts are going up every single freaking, you know, every day. Payouts are starting to go up. So that's the one thing that excites me, is watching the amount of HEX that comes in every single day from your T-shares. I mean, it's just like all of those HEX that are just still sitting there. They're not worth less than a penny. I know what they're going to be worth eventually, you know, and they're just accumulating every single day. I mean, yeah, it's going to be glorious for us after a few cycles, and this thing starts to mature out, and HEX is really doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, come on, man. It's just getting better and better and better. It really is.
So we talked about HEX on Ethereum. We talked about the PulseChain tour. We talked about Bitcoin whale movements, and everyone's positioning for this big move on Bitcoin. You know, I've spoken. I think 40K is the next level. What are your thoughts on PulseChain adoption and you know, NFTs versus validating versus farming? Any of this stuff? Like, I think I know the answer is like adoption is the key, but I'd like to hear your take on a lot of that stuff.
So I want to participate. So validating, farming, I'm all in on both of them. You know, I know what my risk tolerance is. I know what my bag sizes are. I know how I participate and add to the ecosystem. I think everybody needs to do their own risk assessment and figure out what, you know, their position in it should be. But I'm 100%. Why wouldn't I be part of the network by validating? You know what I mean? That's was Satoshi's vision, that we were all part of consensus network, that we were all doing our little part to make the chain, consensus driven and make it put more validators out there. And why not be part of that? I mean, we got 45,000. What's going to happen by when a year comes? We'll have 100,000 or more, right? It'll be the most decentralized L1 period on the planet. And it's going to be all a bunch of individual machines. It's not going to be fucking mining pools and all this other bullshit. None of that crap that, you know, you have a risk of a 51% attack. None of that stuff. I mean, that's the reality of Bitcoin. You have literal, they think it's decentralized, but it's really not. If you're not a part of that mining pool, you know, forget you. And if that mining pool gets so powerful that it decides that it's going to take over, okay, here they go. You know, I mean, that's risk. That's real risk that they don't talk about over there. Here, we're watching onesies, twosies. Maybe somebody will get 100 validators, 1,000 validators, or whatever if they're very wealthy Hexicans or whatnot. But we're just seeing it's growing. It's getting more decentralized. I think that is going to put a lot of value into this L1 because of its decentralization. I think that Web3, I think that is our shiny object. I think Web3 being able to function and operate finally for the first time ever, because that's what I did. I was traveling, Europe year and a half ago, and I was talking to these Web3 projects, and I was talking to them about PulseChain because they were on all these other chains that were, just freaking promise chains, bullshit and going down every single week. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do, because there's Web3 projects are ready to go. Like just about every artist out there, just about every big car company / sports organization, they all have their own Web3 projects ready to go, but they don't have a blockchain that can support them. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest problem. Every time they go out there, they get let down by these blockchains. Ethereum is costing them way too much to mint their NFTs, to launch their Web3 projects. It's just it's too cumbersome for them. Now we've got projects looking at PulseChain going, wait, is this true? Is it decentralized? We don't have a figurehead that we have to go talk to, or a foundation that we have to beg for money to help us launch on their L1. Or we have to worry about it going down. Oh, wait a minute, it's got flawless operation so far. Oh, wait a second, the fees are hardly nothing. Oh, wait a second, it has an organic community that is offering to help onboard. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing. Like I went to the Tang Gang guys and said, hey, I've got a big project that wants to come over. They're an international, they're a global brand, and they want to bring it to an L1 that they can trust, that will help them. And they said, sure. And these guys, for free, sat in meetings with them and said, we're going to help you. We're going to handhold you. We're not asking for anything. We're going to show you how to do it. So you own your content, you own your experience, and you get to go market your way. And we'll even bring a community that will support you and come in and help buy your wares to put you guys on the map over here. And it was like,
key things are like, it's familiar, right? So people that have used Ethereum, it's familiar, like the whole process. You can use your existing hardware wallets or whatever the shit is. You can use all that stuff on here. So it's not like it's like
they have duplicated their coins too.
Duplicated their coin. Like I'm just thinking, like I look at all these other layer ones, and they might be faster. They might have some feature that PulseChain doesn't have, but PulseChain is comfortable. Like, yeah, I'm comfortable using it. It's cheaper and it's faster than Ethereum, and you got the copy of your coin. So like, to me, that's like awesome. And like the prices are so affordable right now that on the way back to, let's say, a 50x or 100x on PulseChain, there's going to be so many people that are going to be able to get involved at a good price. Yeah. That there's going to be so much wealth created here and value. And to your point about the validators, like, it still is cheap enough to get 32 million. I'm sure there's going to come a day when we increase user adoption by 10x and the price of Pulse has maybe 100x or 1000x. And yeah, then maybe, setting up a validator is out of reach for a lot of people at that point. But on the way to doing that, there's going to be so much wealth created. So many people are going to get to take profits, and so many new people are going to come in to buy those bags up. And I just see it being this awesome experience for pretty much everybody as they're coming in. And yeah, it's exciting.
Let me tell you. So I was in this meeting with the leaders and the Tang Gang and some of the dev and the founder of the NFT project that is coming to PulseChain, and they were flabbergasted. So we were talking to the dev, and we were letting him know what was happening. And we said, well, first of all, they were like, well, how do we do all this as far as the NFTs that are owned and everything? And we said, well, first of all, they're all duplicated. So everybody who owns those NFTs now have them over here. They're duplicated over here. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? Wait, because they were under the impression that they had the only NFT available of their stock, right? And it's like, no, you got them over here too. And how is that possible? How is that even possible? Because they've been fed this thing like, nobody can ever, create another NFT like it. Nobody can ever duplicate it. And well, no, it's been duplicated. It's been forked. And here it is over here again. So that just blows their mind. They're like, wait a minute, we're being lied to, and we're like, yes, and we don't lie to you. We're not going to lie to you. We're going to tell you like it is. We're going to tell you how to do it over here. We're going to give you control of your content, of your property, and show you that these people are all lying to you. This is how it should be done. It should be transparent. You should understand it. And look how simple and easy it is. And look how simple it is to fix what's broken over there that's giving you heartache. And so that impressed them, and it opened their eyes, and it's showing them what's different about this community versus the other people that they're dealing with. Because on the other side, they're dealing with foundations. They're dealing with corporate heads. They're dealing with people that want to charge them to launch their project on Ethereum, So, and for our community just to stand up and say, hey, we're going to give you the alpha for free. Why? Because we want you here, and we want you to have a good experience, and we want you to be decentralized and own your content and just be part of the ecosystem. And that just blows their mind. I mean, it's going to be such a badass marketing tool for the Web3 space. And I can't say enough good about the guys that are over there in the Tang Gang doing the work, because, I'm not involved with their coins and all their stuff that they're doing, whatever. Not saying I'm not trying to hype that up or shill that, but just what they're doing, their marketing tactics, their preservation of relationships, bringing people in to the community and giving the alpha away for free is just like, that's what it's all about. That's what it's really all about. And I think that's going to bring adoption to answer that question in the long form. I think that's what's going to help bring adoption to the PulseChain, is just that attitude, that kind of community outreach, that kind of grassroots marketing is going to be what makes PulseChain, real valuable. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be tutorials that are going to be made showing people how to do this so simply. And, people like Coffee are going to go out and do a tutorial on, hey, here's how to mint your own NFTs. And it's so simple. Here's your front end of your website. Here's how you do it. And you don't even have to use an NFT platform. It's all here. Yeah, you want it up there. You want to put your wares in a store, but why not just open your own store up and let me show you how easy it is. And then if you become so popular because your content's so good, then, hey, they're going to want to have your content on these platforms. So, I mean, that's what's going to happen. And I think that that's going to bring a lot of adoption to PulseChain, and not necessarily trading, not necessarily, the fact that you can go into the DEX and do all the cool liquidity providing and all that kind of stuff, yield farming. I think it's going to be the Web3 space finally blowing up, because these people are ready, man. They've been ready for the last 2-3 years with their projects. They're done. They're built. They're ready to go. They just don't have a blockchain to put them on.
Yeah. So I'm with you on all that. I think the sky's the limit. We're just perfectly positioned in a lot of ways, and we didn't have to reinvent the wheel to get there. Yeah.
And by the way, I'm streaming from my phone. My alerts, since we've been talking, $100 million worth of Bitcoins moved. 2 different moves, $50 million moves.
Right on cue, baby. Right on cue.
So look at that. 100 million an hour is moving right now. And then we're seeing moves of $1 billion, 1.2 billion in the middle of it all.
We're actually also seeing moves on the RG3 chart over here.
Oh, yeah. Who's buying my coin?
It's funny shit.
That is really funny. You know what? I knew that it was done. I don't know anything about it. I don't know who holds the tokens. I don't have any myself, which I probably should have. But yeah.
It's kind of funny. Actually, Crispy Man hit me up the other day and he said, "Hey, take a look at this." And I'm going to press back. He basically compiled this list of all the influencer coins. So you can actually go, maybe hit him up if you guys want to see this or ask him to post it on Twitter. But like all these influencer coins started to move kind of up and down together, and like it's kind of interesting to see that. And now obviously RG3's top of the heap today, and then Matty Allen right behind him. And
who's that?
Maddie's right behind you.
Oh, Maddie. Go buy some coins, Maddie. Go and get your.
So it's kind of a little bit of a social experiment here and an education experiment on. I don't even know what the total end goal here is with these influencer coins, but I think it's definitely interesting if you're if you're keen to find out more about liquidity providing, maybe you go in here and you dig into these things and figure out what the hell's going on. But yeah, I was curious to see if you had anything to say about it, or what your thoughts were on this whole influencer experiment that Funny Jim had done.
I think well, at first I was like, what the hell's going on? Who did what? Put my name on a coin of all things? So I was a little like confused at first, but Gary did it, and Gary's my boy. So I knew he wasn't doing anything, nefarious or anything. So, but I understood the experiment after he explained it, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I haven't thought much of it. It hasn't moved. It hasn't done anything. And then all of a sudden I was just thinking the other day, man, maybe I should go grab a bunch of my coins. And then I look, and it literally just today, and somebody had mooned it today. So yeah, good luck on that one.
Let's see, $86 of liquidity. So whoever
if
wants
ever
to
there was a shit coin to stay away from, that's the one right there. I would definitely tell you to stay away from. Do not diversify your bags, especially any of your HEX bags, into any RG3 token. That is. I'm sorry, whoever bought there, but.
Well, that's good. We have confirmation that RG's not a fan. So all right, good to know. So we've been going for about an hour 5. We can go another like 10, 15 minutes. I wanted to ask you a little bit about, you'd called me recently. We talk. Okay, guys, we talk a lot. RG and I talk about try to like ping ideas off each other and see what the hell the markets are going from time to time. But he had called me and he was interested in knowing what the hell was going on with this AxisAlive token.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull that up quick. Currently, that price chart's up more than any other chart on the entire Pulse chain. And originally it was created as an educational tool for people to help people understand technical analysis better, how to read the chain better, and to understand more about liquidity providing and how movements in liquidity affects the price chart. And as you can see, this chart's done nothing but go up on the log chart here. Like it's just gone straight up and to the right. And people are wondering, like, is this real? Is it like, what's going on here? And I guess like my first question to you as we're going through this is, currently it's trading at $8,500 a coin. Like, what are your thoughts on something like this? And what are other HEX and Pulse OGs saying that I'm not hearing?
Well, I haven't really, talked to any of the OGs about it other than, Kinetics. And we're both real excited about it. We're like, look at what's going on over here, man. This is really exciting to watch. And, I think that if the community starts doing things like creating, like I was talking about Warren Buffett earlier, if you can make gold standard products like Berkshire Hathaway that just continue to increase in value, and then maybe even lock these things. I don't know what, now with FUX and being able to take multiple coins of solid OG value maybe and put them into liquidity pools, what could you create,
Mm-hmm.
So that experiment is really cool, because now we're talking about real world products that exist,
Mm-hmm.
but we're starting to create them over here. And who's to say we can do it better over here now, but if you take, the Berkshire Hathaway model and look at it and look at how it was built, then, this is like the start of that type of an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And who's to say it couldn't be that?
You must be reading my mail, as Crypto Heartbeat likes to say, because like you're picking up a lot of kind of the goal and the vision of what this could be, which is a tremendous store of value for HEX OGs and Pulse like whales. Like if they let me say that if enough HEX sharks, whales, and Pulse whales and sharks and dolphins get behind this and understand the mission and the goal, this thing could hit price targets that people can't even comprehend. Like, how is that even possible? And the reason is because it's like a very scarce market supply. So I actually had Crispy Man put together like a market supply dashboard for us, and this is actually, I'm unveiling it now for the first time tonight, so people can get an understanding of how the F does a chart do something like this. Like, how is it possible that people can profit, thousands? Like, for example, this guy here, He's profited $19,500, but yet the chart is up and built in the billions of percent. These guys here are pulling off 6,500, 6,000, 6,000, 3,000. Yeah, that's not enough to make you quit your day job yet. But who's to say that it can't get to those levels?
It's it's weeks old. You know what I mean? And if you look at what Berkshire Hathaway did. So I have family that are members of the Buffett family, and they bought in early in the beginning of Berkshire Hathaway when it was pennies on the dollar type of thing. And as they grew Berkshire Hathaway, Munger and Buffett, those people never sold. They held, and they understood what the value of it was. They understood it was a blue chip. They understood what these guys' strategy was, and the strategy has to be retaught here. We have to know what the real long game is, and then once you play the real long game with something like this, then you see the value. I mean, Berkshire Hathaway, I don't know what its beginning price was, but I think it went up to $400,000 per share, something like that.
Somebody just commented it's at $515,500 a share right now. I can actually pull up the chart here.
Yeah, and maybe see what the first price of it was.
Yeah, so it's funny because like you can't get back to the very beginning, but the lowest price on this particular chart goes back to July of 1979 at $235 a share.
There you go. And that wasn't the beginning, but yeah, that was
right. It wasn't the beginning. But just to think that, look at how this chart's only ever went up and to the right. And they've obviously figured out some sort of a methodology to make this chart perform in such a way.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say without saying that there's opportunity here for OGs to get behind something that already has massive whales and pulse behind it. Like if you go look at the chain, there are the biggest accounts in PulseChain behind this token.
And that's how they did it, bro. That's how they did it. They grew strategies through valuable traders and valuable trades, and they kept adding value by linking Berkshire Hathaway to bigger brands. So it's about linking the coin to bigger brands, bigger investors, and those investors being good actors in the system. And that's how they built it. And you've got to get out in front of it like Buffett did. He got out in front of it and taught people how to hold. I mean, that's really what did it was, hey, hold because I'm adding more value. Hey, hold because I know what the market's doing. Hey, hold because we're actually affecting the market. And so that's how they his strategies. And then he wrote books and taught people and did seminars and basically he just told people to hold, but very simple terms I'm given. And of course he had a lot more nuance to what I'm saying, but that's what he made people do. He educated people and built a good product that made people want to hold. And that's what it did. And it grew like nothing else out there ever has.
So you can see a couple things here. We could dig in and see there's almost $300,000 liquidity sitting here on the V2. And there's 120 grand just chilling a Pulse backing Axis right now. So like it's not like there's a small amount. Matter of fact, if you go to Pulse Hot List, I'm pretty sure it's one of the top coins for liquidity. And the whole goal here shouldn't be, I know everyone's got PTSD from the bear market, but it's not so much about how can I sell the next 2 to 5x pump? How can I make money tomorrow? It should be, how can I make thousands of dollars a month in fees from the trading volume that you could get on something like an AxisAlive token with millions of dollars of liquidity backing it, right? That's how you win hard in this game. How did Richard make a ton of money last cycle? Because he provided the HEX liquidity to the market. Well, if you can bind this AxisAlive thing, then it goes to tremendously high prices because you have a core group of holders that's going to diamond hand this thing to high prices. That can literally have the effect of pulling up the market with it. Now look here, it's tied to HEX, it's Pulse, it's PulseX, it's EHex, it's stablecoin, it's WETH, it's wrapped Bitcoin. Like to get that wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum type volume and scale, you only need to get a few big players behind it. And I can't press on you guys enough that that whether it's AxisAlive or some other coin, things are possible on the Pulse chain that just aren't possible on the other chains because they're too wrapped up in what was and not what can be.
Mm-hmm.
You look at this TVL on Wrap Bitcoin. This thing did $226 million of volume on chain tradable. Bitcoins on Ethereum traded $226 million of volume between Bitcoin and ETH. If you had 10% of this pool, you could make $40,000 a month. $40,000 a month. So you guys, I'm begging you to just read between the lines and see how high and how far and the value proposition of something like this. And so that's why I had Crispy Man put together this chart set. This is a dashboard, right? So when you're looking at the AxisAlive coin, what you're really looking at is just 233 holders. That's it. And this is the distribution. This looks like a pretty fair distribution compared to some of these other coins that have 90% in one wallet. This is the market supply cap.
I just realized that this puts another this is another tokenomics or gamification of the system that the stock market doesn't have. Berkshire Hathaway was built on people buying and holding and adding value, right? Now, you can do the same thing with, like, say, Axis token, but you just gave a whole another element that not only are you buying and holding something like Berkshire Hathaway, but you're able to drive yield off of it by putting it in as LP. I mean, that's a whole different part of the game that they don't have over there in the stock market.
Yeah, the closest thing would be dividends, but you don't have control of that, right?
No, you don't.
In this DeFi world, you're
not going to be getting that type of dividend off of your Berkshire Hathaway stock either.
You'd have to have a huge stake in it to get that much. Like, and most people are priced out. This is still relatively cheap compared to where things could go. And I think that people say, "What? It's 8,500 a coin? There's no way." Well, there's only 230 holders, guys. The total market cap of the market supply here, $2.6 million. Tiny. Pennies. Tiny. So I beg you, go to AxisAlive.com, go to the AxisAlive Token tab, and find this chart for yourself and break down the chain and see how many guys are holding coins. There's not many. And if one of these big holders nuked their bag tomorrow, what a buying opportunity. So long as you believe that in the long-term value prop, right? If you're not believing in that, you're going to miss the boat, or you're going to think it's going to go to zero. This isn't that investment for you then. It's like there's so much opportunity. This is why I shill HEX and Pulse all the time, is because there's so much opportunity in those coins to receive 25x, 50x, 100x, thousands of x. But this isn't the same strategy. This is a totally different strategy where we want to create a funnel where value is kept and stored, and only in that most of the little guys that are going to sell on a 2 and a 5x aren't going to be able to affect the market negatively in the future, because this is only going to be backed by some of the biggest players. So I'm glad that I was able to share this with you. I think, for those that this resonates with, you'll understand and you'll see the path forward. I cannot promise any future upgrades or expectations of work, but this isn't the end for Axis Coin. The chart's not going to go to zero. You just look at this distribution of coins here, and you take this 319 coins, and you go over to something like Piteous, and you try to do what would a 300 coin market dump do to the chart. Let's find out. Let's find out what if all 319 coins dumped, what would the price do? Probably 99% drop. Let's see. Imaginary horrible. Be a $2.73 million sell. Well, of course, this is distributed across 233 wallets, so they'd all be rushing for the doors at the same time. So 97.76% drop. Well, what does that take us to? Let's go to the linear chart. 97.7, $222 a unit. What a buying opportunity. If the whole market dumped tomorrow, you could still get it for $222 a unit. I rest my case. Thank you, RG3, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, bro.
It's been an awesome stream, man. I always appreciate your fire, your salt of the earth demeanor. You're the man, and I appreciate you. And I'll be seeing you on the PulseChain cruise in December.
Right on. We're gonna be at the cruise. Well, everybody come check us out. If you want to come to Dallas this weekend, go to PulseChainTour.com. Come and hang out the party and barbecue. Got a bunch of streamers showing up, and then a couple more tour dates left. Austin, Texas in a couple of weeks, and then Phoenix, and that's pretty much it. Then we're going to the cruise.
All right, brother.
All right, my man. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate everybody in the chat. We'll see you guys on the next episode of AxisAlive Takes Over the World. Peace.